Hey guys, what's going on? First thing first, big thank you to all the Patreons, everyone supporting the channel. We do have a couple more Patreon slots opened. A few people had to cancel, so if you are interested in accessing some coaching, please check out the link in the description. And big thank you for everyone on Twitch and YouTube. Quick update while I am not streaming as much. I've been working pretty crazy hours, my full time job. So yeah, pretty much like 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. I'm at work, um, probably for the next couple of weeks. So we'll try and squeeze in a stream where I can. But for the moment, please, yeah, just I feel bad for everyone that's subscribed. I'll try and make it up to you guys and have longer streams on the weekend. Try and get some really nice stream content. So today's video is about how to lead your team in Arena and win considerably more games and probably get a shit ton more rating. Um, a big part of this is that when you play an LFG or you play voiceless, you don't have anyone to tell you what to do. You kind of need a bit of a shot caller in any sort of competitive game, whether that is, StarCraft, like the twos in StarCraft, you still need someone to tell you what to do. Overwatch, CSGO, League, you need somebody to essentially set out the strategy and be the kind of voice where you all follow the same direction. Um, and it's pretty important because when you don't, you guys are all doing like all three of you are probably going to be independently doing your own thing, which you'll see a lot in LFG, where you'll stun one guy, somebody else will just be stunned randomly, or like a fear will come out randomly, a poly will come out randomly, and it's hard to know when to use your cooldowns, who to hit, all this kind of stuff. So, what is a leader in a threes or twos team? It's essentially the person that will, provide at least the main voice for target selection. So they'll say, "Look, I know that warlocks are important to shut down, Destro warlocks. So let's go the warlock because we have two kicks, and those kicks, melee range, so we have to be on him." They have a good understanding of the comp that you're playing. Doesn't need to be insanely like deep understanding of the comp, but they need to have enough understanding of the comp where they know what your win condition is, um, and they have a pretty good idea of what the enemy win condition is. And the big thing to note here is that they don't always have to be right. Like I feel like when you have an arena team, and a big part of why a lot of LFG arena teams fall over is that arena is a very iterative game where you trial and error a whole bunch of shit, especially when you're learning for the first time. Until you played that comp that you're playing specifically into their comp, and sometimes even into those players, because every comp can play differently, you don't actually know what the best way to win is and the best way that they win is. So you need a pretty like basic understanding of what the different win conditions are, and generally what I find is a baseline way to know that is to put together, a list of what your CDs are, right, and how you generally win, and a list of what their CDs are. And then finally, which is something that is super underrated, which is to maintain the morale and motivation of the team. So a lot of teams fall apart because either they'll have like a self-appointed leader who'll just, you know, let me paint the picture for you, and I'm sure everyone knows. And if you are this guy, don't be this guy. Some dude who got 2400 in Wrath of the Lich King. You're playing at 1400 CR, 1500 CR, playing like TSG, and he's like, well, back in my day, the DK used to do this, or the Warrior used to do this, and we used to just kill the heal every time, bro. Like, what's wrong with you, man? I'm 2400 XP. You know, this kind of bullshit. So, like, you need somebody who's like got a bit of emotional intelligence, which, in a blunt way, I feel like is scarce in arena sometimes. Um, and I think it's like a big decider why some teams work. You'll play with some people and maybe you'll do well in arena, but you don't enjoy playing with them. So the second that anything goes bad, the second you start losing, you don't want to be in the same Discord as them because they're really toxic. So it's really important for somebody to essentially just be the voice of reason and say, "Hey guys, look, argument's good. Let's move on." And to just call people out when there's an issue. One of the things I would recommend, and something I'm interested in experimenting with, is whether you could actually just sort of appoint someone to do this. Especially because I know a lot of you guys play with like two of your friends, so it wouldn't be that hard to just say, "Hey, look, if we're like tilting, you just say, let's stop tilting," and everyone makes an agreement to just have a glass of water, realize that we're playing a 20-year-old video game, and that it's not that important. So I think it's definitely good to have sort of like somebody to ground the team. So how would you lead the team? So what I would recommend is, firstly, let's just pick a comp. Let's just say you're playing TSG. So if you're playing TSG, there's a lot of footage online of how to play TSG. So the first thing I would recommend is pulling up a bit of the clips on TSG that you see pro players playing. I've always said, watch all these different Warrior streamers. I'm not sure exactly who plays TSG, so probably picked a pretty bad example. But I'm sure I've seen a lot of Europeans play TSG, and I know that I think that DK Party Waffle, he plays DK, so he'd probably be playing TSG a lot too. So maybe it's better to go the DK route rather than the Warrior route, just to see those games play. See who they target in those comps, because generally who they target is going to be the right person to target for you as well. And just, you don't have to have a hard and fast rule, but you need to have a general idea of why you should be hitting that target. So think about that for a second. If you're versing like RMP, the target selection is probably going to be very, very fluid. It's like who's close to us. Maybe we hit the priest if the priest is here. Maybe we hit the mage if the mage is overextended. Maybe we hit the rogue if the rogue's overextended. Very, very simple. If you're playing against like WMP, that's when it gets a bit more complex, because it's not like an easy target jumps out at you there. So that's where you kind of want to do a bit of your own research and just double check that the targets that you're selecting are the targets you should be selecting. Secondly, I think having a basic idea of what you struggle against and what you tend to kill from from your own games is a really, really good base for that too. I think the next part is like linked to this, which is an understanding of the comp. So how does TSG win games? And if you watch professional games or high rated games, AWC, whatever, they'll generally all follow the same win condition, because like any game, there's an optimal way to play it. Although WoW isn't like completely like solved. It's not a solved game where everyone knows what the best play is every single time. Generally, when you kind of like abstract away from 3K games and bring them back to like 1.6K games, the way that those players would win at 3K is probably the same as they would win in 1.6K. Maybe they just win faster or die less. So in that situation with TSG again, um, let's say you're playing TSG, your first go, you grip in all three of them, you sleet, you spear, you bladestorm, you do all the frost DK stuff, and then you're not looking to win in that go, right? It's really, really important to think about that. Like nobody usually should like you should like the enemy team shouldn't lose there, and you shouldn't win there. And the reason I'm saying that is sometimes people overcommit to these goes, where they'll like trinket every single button to try and like maximize the value of this go. But realistically, if you're TSG and you're versing like Warrior Mage Paladin, if you get the Paladin's trinket, you get the Warrior's intervene parry, and the Mage's temp, BM, and trinket, then that's an insanely high value go. Normally, you're going to get probably one or two defensives, minor defensives, or one major defensive, like a bubble or like a parry, intervene, and a trinket. So, watching how you get those trinkets is super, super important. So, that's how you start to build your winking edition, because the next go, there's going to be one person in that mix that can't trinket. You're going to have a whole bunch of damage. And if you do that go, like a mini go, yeah, in like the minute, there's going to be a lot of pressure out because their cooldowns haven't cycled back. So that pressure itself might force more cooldowns. And eventually you get to a point where you do your grip go, you do your spear, and like there's not like the defensive cooldowns that they do have are not enough for them to actually survive that go. And then the inverse of the enemy win condition is to beat you in 3 goes, right? So by your third go, which should happen at like 4 minutes or something, 3 minutes, you should be completely out of cooldowns, um, and they should kill you, right? That's how Warrior Mage Paladin beats TSG, is that they kill them fast enough. They CC a healer, they set up, they force every single cooldown out of you, and you lose, right? You lose because your healer gets put into a poly and feared off, and that's like 14 seconds of CC, or even longer if there's gets a repoly, and he combusts you or the DK, and there's no cooldowns left for you. So, really, really simple way to think about enemy win conditions, and something I encourage you all to do is actually go through the practice of thinking like that. Because it's actually not too complex if you think about the game. If you have some basic game knowledge, it might be hard if you've never really played the game too often. But if you have some basic arena knowledge, you should be able to put together what the enemy win condition is. And you sort of pair that with your experience playing, you know, watching sort of other people play at high ratings. You can sort of see how like how the TSG loses and how the TSG wins. So that gets linked to understanding what all your key cooldowns are. So you should have a pretty good understanding of your cooldowns, but you need to know what like the DK's cooldowns are. So you know he has IBF, you know he has AMZ, and he has anti-magic shield too. So as a leader, you kind of need to keep track of, essentially call what you're going to use in each go. So like a lot of like and when I say leader, I don't mean you should be bossing people around, but I think you should just be encouraging the discussion of this, like encouraging discussion of this nature, which happens very organically at high ratings, but usually is kind of forced at low ratings. So if you're versing RMP, your DK on the first go might IBF the kidney shot, and AMZ your healer if the mage is using combustion, they're killing your healer. If you're versing Warrior Mage Paladin and they're trying to kill your DK, you as a warrior might trinket the poly or something if they cross CC and intervene your DK, and just be able to call these different things and say who's going to use what next. And you'll see that at high ratings. You'll always see people saying, okay, you use this next. You use Spirit Link Totem for this cooldown. Because a lot of WoW, the basic idea of all arena is it's essentially PvE, like doing lots of damage, disrupting, but trading cooldowns is like 99% of the game, right? It's the core of the game, such that like when you verse a really bad player, you can tell they're really bad by how they trade cooldowns. People can have off days with kicks and just miss a lot of kicks. People can have off days with damage and be charging, wasting charges. But generally, what stays pretty static regarding play skill is over or underusing based on cooldowns. So you'll always see that. So try and have a decent idea of what your cooldowns are and then what their cooldowns are, right? Which is linked to the win condition. So if you're Warrior Mage Paladin versus TSG, then you're going to be looking at the DK's cooldown on A-Bomb Limb, the Warrior's cooldown on Spear, the DK's cooldown on Frostworm, and all these different things. Paladin's cooldowns too. Having a good idea of that lets you kind of establish the skeleton for what your communication should look like. Finally, morale and motivation. So this one is obviously a lot more, I guess, ethereal. Like it's very like hard to put together on how you improve morale because everyone's different. But what I find to improve morale is when someone makes a mistake. Usually, someone makes a mistake and says they've made a mistake. I never get tilted. Sometimes I do, but I would never say never. But generally, I like to stay pretty calm and say, "Look, it doesn't matter. We can still win. It's not a big deal, even if it's a fucking big deal." Like if your paladin uses bubble in the opening room, it's like whatever. We get it back in 3 minutes. It's that type of mindset and keeping as level headed as possible, and just ignoring any potential massive issues or mistakes that you've made that keeps morale pretty high. When you lose a game, it's also your attitude when you lose a game. When everyone goes like dead silent and you just hear someone like cough in the background, all the microphones go on mute, that is like bad vibes. So you need to sort of just say, cool, I think next time we do this, 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 and we win. You need to just have a plan, provide some hope, um, set out what you should be doing next game, or like at least like providing an option. Say, look, maybe we try this one next go because this one didn't work. Or you revise what didn't work in your current plan. Maybe your strategy was right. One thing I see a lot of people do at every rating is that they confuse their loss. So maybe they lose a game, but they had the right strategy, and then they confuse their loss, like they attribute the loss to being the wrong strategy when it's typically the right strategy and the wrong execution. So you need to really think, was that actually the wrong thing to do? Or was that the right thing to do? And did we just do it really badly? That's really, really, really important. So get that like nutted out, get that in your head as a way to test different strategies. And it's not bad to just keep testing stuff because that's how you improve as a player. You play a whole bunch of games and you learn more and more and more. So definitely try and keep that in mind. But that concludes this video. Hopefully this was helpful. It was long. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I hope it helps a lot of you guys. I know the last few videos have been a bit of a bummer with the LFG stuff, and I wanted this video to sort of be maybe something that can give you guys a bit of, I guess, guidance on what to do next if you're feeling like you are stuck somewhere, and can't improve. And I'm fully aware that a lot of you guys in LFG aren't playing with Discord because the LFG people don't want to play with Discord. So maybe revisit this video when you find a team. And good luck to everyone pushing in LFG. Hope you guys all have an excellent week, and I will catch you in the next video.